15th, 2025. It is a cold day, but it's also a big day here at the dairy farm. Tony's new trim chute has arrived. And I want to say a special thanks to Tony's wife, Michelle, for filming today's activities. So let's get right in here and see how Tony and our nephew Kyle are going to work on getting the old chute out. And once again, the guys are using the skid steer to try to get this heavy job done. Tony's trying to finagle those forks underneath the old trim chute. On the sidelines, we've got Brian Pinksterhouse, Hover Chute's owner-operator, standing by. And Alex is also here to try to assist.
Tony's got to get out here.
It was tight, but he's getting it. Good job, Tony. And here she is, the brand new hover chute in all her bright red glory.
So what they're doing right now, they're trying to get the forks as wide as possible because this is pretty top heavy, Brian said.
As soon as we hit contact, you're going to tilt back. Let's see if we can get some tilt out of it. Lift it up. Yep. Okay, now go ahead, tilt back. Okay, now up. Right, now you got it. Just go back real slow. Straight backwards. And release. As soon as he gets off that trailer, can you make sure he goes down and don't let it tilt forwards? Yeah. Okay, you should be able to go down now, Tony.
You're going.
Okay, now just spin around. We can grab it from this side and bring it in. Coming in about. Now this is
No, he can, but it was real tippy coming off the trailer. No, this is good now. It's just coming in from the side. It was real heavy on that far side, so he just told him to. Yeah, they switched.
Then we can move it wherever.
Sure.
A little bit, and you guys can see it. We can move it anywhere. Yeah. We'll wait for Tony to come back. Yep. No, that's yep. We're roughly 2 feet.
Probably. Now, how far do you keep it away from that wall, Tony?
We can keep it up to there, I would say, as long as I would probably want to come off a little more just to get that back lags away from the edge.
It's gonna be hard to. You're gonna be around that edge of concrete, and it ain't gonna anchor down.
Yeah, it ain't gonna anchor down, so I'd probably want to move like probably 4 inches.
4
at
inches
least.
from this here plate away from that wall.
Yep, I'd probably want to go somewhere around there. I can measure it out and tell you exactly where it's going to sit. So we're going to be, that chute, the very edge of that chute's going to be roughly right there. Yep, when it tilts down. So really, the edge of that chute's going to be right here.
Which then if you had to, the cows can still walk even by here, even if it was down, if they had to for some reason. But normally, this is always going to be up once you're not trimming, right? More likely, right, Tony?
Yeah, just keep it flipped up. That way, you want to move down. Most likely, most of our cows going to go down there.
Yeah, but I mean, if we had to.
So you always have that much room to walk around. So I would.
So when that's down,
Then you would have to move the belly arm in because that's going to come out another 12 inches.
But I mean, as far as running your levers and stuff, there should be enough room here to work the levers and stuff.
Yeah, because you're going to be.
Well, that gate would be going.
The green will be going.
So the levers would be like right here. Or probably right here. Like the edge of that chute's going to be roughly here.
So push you away from right here back.
Yeah, that's the levers there, and then we'll put the up and down.
Right here,
Right here.
that's where my front arms are.
You want that up to where it's easy for him, but yet high enough to where the cows ain't gonna hit it if they walk
Or
past.
someone don't walk and hit their head or
Right.
So then we'll probably keep it up high enough where you can.
That's what I always suggest because taller people. We always look down and we always hit our head. Tony's pretty tall, so I try to get that handle just above your head if you could. Otherwise, you're gonna walking a cow or something.
The name of the company is Hover Chute, and this is Brian, one of the owners, I think.
Correct.
Okay.
This is how we do this. So it's 3 washers.
And we'll throw a link in the comments to their website too. But this chute is built in Germantown, Illinois. So right here in Illinois.
Yep. So
And they've been awesome to work with.
I always try to keep it away from the cow side. swing her head up here.
Yeah.
So you might want to get a piece of rubber or something here so she don't be smacking it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I don't know what you got around, but
We could find some mats or something that.
yeah, to hang there, or even a little inner tube with a string or something.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's better than nothing. It's just that way the cow ain't beating her head up. There's 2 bolts on this headrest. If you want to take this headrest off, just get some more room sometimes. Just take that bolt out and leave the bolt up here. And you don't have to put the lock nuts back on it, but if you're always going to keep it on, then that's fine. Some people take it off so that way they got room all the way. I think we'll be okay. Okay, so this is pretty much it. I'll set it down, and then if you want to grab this lever, hold it this way, and then if I have to have you go the other way, I'll let you know. I should be able to get this if I can get up there. Oh, yeah. Ready? Get it up, ready?
Maybe you lift on the frame, Kyle, not the
That's what it's
headrest.
cold, so.
Oh, the hydraulic
There.
fluid's cold.
It's almost over there. Now, when you first energize it, don't run it all the way up. Run it quarter way up, down, quarter way up, down, halfway up, down, halfway up, down, 3/4 down. Because there might be a little bit of air in that line, and that sound gets it. Oh, if you happen to get the air, yep, good call. Yep, just a little bit down, up and down. That'll work that air out. By doing this manually here, you could have a little bit of air in there. Because we only run it a couple times. Set everything. So I didn't know how flat the concrete and stuff was. What do you want to do? But yeah, plenty to make that happen. And then it'd be easiest for him if you pull this panel. Yep, and then this is a hydraulic tank heater here, and you'll do this off of the switch too. So when it gets like cold like today, you're going to turn this on. So if you know you're going to turn tomorrow, you can turn it on early in the morning, a couple hours before you trim, or just the night before. Yeah. A couple hours for sure. Yeah. Because this is basically, it's a heating element that goes inside there. It has a thermostat in there, so it'll shut off. It won't overcook the oil. So it will regulate that. So once it gets to a certain temperature, it'll turn off. And it'll shut off. The wiring instructions are inside of here. If they pull it out, there's a piece of paper inside of there. And then he'll know that because he's an electrician. But on the motor, there's a tag that shows how to wire it.
So we got the motor, and then is that
110.
Okay, 110 and 110.
110. Yeah. Yeah, he just run the 110 over here and run into here. I'd put this on a switch. I usually tell them to put it on like a switch with a light. So you could buy the light switches that have the switch illuminates. You ever seen them?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they'll have them at Menards and maybe Butler has them. It's just a light switch that when you flip it up, the switch itself.
That way you know it's on.
Then you know it's on. Otherwise, it's going to be potentially on all summer. So I usually tell everybody to put that on a light somehow.
So how cold does it? I mean, how cold of weather before you?
40 degrees.
Just kick them on so that it runs smoothly better.
So there's the grease. You'll see. So there's right here on the outside.
Yep.
So I do that weekly, so that way people grease them. And there's a grease fitting here. There's a grease fitting over there. So we did grease them, but what I would want to couple cowls in and then grease them. Make sure this time of year that grease is warm, because it's a bitch to try to get it in here. Because the tolerances on these tubes are so thin, you'll just keep it in the parlor where it's warm and then grease it. Okay. If you try running full grease in there, you ain't gonna get it in there. We actually put them in front of the heaters in the winter time, the grease. Yeah, so that grease you can. So there's a grease right there, There's a grease fitting there.
That's it,
Yep, on the pivot. There's a grease fitting right here,
Okay.
right there. That one there, you're gonna have to grease the most, just because it just how it happens. And then there's one grease fitting there.
Okay.
And that's it. And then front to backwards on the hydraulic. So this is for the front stanchion, so the headlock, the front door, open and close the front door, the belly, the rear sixth, the back butt bar. So front to back.
Put it up to kind of lift the cow a little bit.
Just to where it just, yep,
Or up a
yep,
bit.
just a little bit.
Got up a little
Yep.
bit.
So where you contact it, just go a little more. If you're lifting it up, that's gonna be a pain to do the feet.
Okay.
Yep. You'll notice that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, once you start doing it, and then what you'll see is on your younger heifers and stuff like this, it's just to where contacts. And their feet are not as long to get them.
Yeah.
So your first lactation ones, and if you have any jerseys, those are just where it contacts.
January 25th, setting in the posts. Okay, what are you doing here today?
Today we dug these holes yesterday and set these pipes in here. Today we're putting concrete around them so they will stay in one place when we hang the gates on them and hold the weight of that gate so that we can get our chute area made for this trimming area.
You got 10 measures? Yeah. Is that a 6x6 block? 5.5 inches? That'd be easy.
It's probably about 6.
It is 5 3/4 if you hit this little.
So that'd be a 6x6 block. Here's one. It's got a little shit on it. So that's a 1/4 inch.
Work
Lay it on
smarter,
the ground.
not harder,
Lay it on the ground
Gerard.
where your foot is.
Here?
Yes, try that.
What's that look like? Perfect.
That'll be good.
Good. What's the other way?
I'm checking right now.
You got to put a twine strength in this gate.
No, that's good right there.
Say what?
It's talking about something. Feel this whole deal.
We're good. Let that level back to you first. You jump the post.
Yeah, I'll just wire off of these from there.
Now let's see the finished product.
A steel pipe in concrete, so it's good and solid. I did 2 of them, one on each side. And then we had Alex, we had the generator hooked up back here, ran welder. Alex welded on some hinges on the pipes. And as you can see, we bolted the hinges from the gate to here on both of them. One of them is set back just so the chute gate comes right up to it, so it hits good here. And we're plenty wide so the cows don't have to feel crowded. And then over here, Alex built a little gate out of some pipe we had laying around and painted it. And that is to close that area up. And then we just made it so I can just pull a pin. I can either take it this way once the cow's in the chute, or I can go and swing it all the way around that way. That way it's out of my way when I'm trimming and cows can't get through. It's pretty simple, very slick. So when the cow lays here, and if they're a little bit excited, they usually will shit through the gate all over, and then you gotta scrape it up. So now, temporarily, we got a piece of plywood here. That way the shit will drop right in this slot here.
And not on your radio.
And yeah. And then if we're lucky, so I won't have to scrape it all up, it will land in where I had a tub. Now Donnie took a barrel, cut it long ways, and made some little wheels. Made a little axle, had some old wheels laying around, and you pull it out in a holding pin, dump it out, spray it out, whatever, depending on the weather, and then it won't have to scrape up so much mess if it all lands like it's supposed to.
So we'll see how that works.
I got my nephew to run some electric. We had to go into the breaker box and run some new separate wires, one to run the hydraulic pump and one to run the plug-in and a heater for the oil, if needed when it gets cold. So we had to put a on-off for the motor, the pump, so it don't have to run all the time, just when you're running the chute. And we had to run these hydraulic lines that run up and over to the chute. That's what lowers and raises the chute, flips the cow. The other hydraulics are on the chute that run the locked cow in the head gate, opens the head gate, flips the band underneath the belly to hold the cow up, and a little rump bar that helps kind of hold the cow in place too, or push her forward if you need to push her forward a little bit, which is very smooth and so much better than my old antique chute.
And now, action. Let's see how it works.
Oh, let's go. No.
this cow was very recently trimmed, and this morning Tony noticed her limping, so he brought her in the chute, found a sore spot, applied that little block, and she is ready to go. Back to the herd. And as always, the cows crap all the time, so there's cleanup. Well, it's good to know Donnie's poop catcher is working. Tony uses it almost every day. And even though it didn't stay clean for long, at least it's easy for Tony to empty. I mean, he can even talk on the phone while he's doing that. And this concludes our part 2 episode of Tony's new Trim Chute. Tony wants to thank all those involved in getting it up and running, especially Hover Chute's own Brian Pinksterhouse, as well as our nephew Jacob Beckman for installing the electric. And he can't forget to thank his wife Michelle for finding Hover Chute in the first place. And thanks to you viewers for being a part of this project by watching Beckman Brothers Dairy and more. We sure hope that Tony gets many years of use with this new Trim Chute. Thanks again for watching, and take care.